The space station was huge, floating quietly in the black sky. Ships came and went like ants on a metal flower. Inside the station there were many rooms, many halls, and many secrets. One secret was kept in the lower level, far from the bright. Lights and busy voices. In a cold, dark room with metal walls and no windows, there was a cage. Inside that cage sat a small alien girl. Her body was thin and her skin looked dry and cracked like broken ground. Her eyes were too big for her head, and her arms bent in strange ways. She did not speak. She did not cry. She just sat there looking at the floor. No one called her by a name. She was known only as Case X7. The guards sometimes called her Thing or Ugly. They laughed and made jokes when they walked past her. They said she was not really alive. They said she was dangerous. But she never hurt anyone. She just looked tired. And alone. The Interworld Tribunal had already made a decision. They said her kind was not allowed to live. She was the last one left from a mining colony that had been destroyed years ago. Some believed her species caused the disaster. Others believed she was just a mistake. No one wanted to look closely. No one wanted to ask questions. Tomorrow morning they planned to send her into deep space. Her cage would be pushed into a disposal pod and launched toward a burning star. Quiet and clean, no news, no problems. That night, Tomas walked past the room. Thomas was not a soldier or a leader, he was a mechanic. He fixed air filters and cleaned water tanks. He was just trying to finish his job and go home. But his path was blocked. A pipe had burst nearby. He took a different hallway, one he had never used before. That was when he saw the cage. He stopped. At first he thought it was empty. Then he saw her, sitting still, wrapped in a thin gray blanket. Her large eyes looked up at him. Something inside Thomas changed. He had seen hungry children on Earth. He had seen broken people after war. But this girl, this strange, silent girl, did not look scared. She looked sad, not like a monster, more like a lost soul. Thomas stepped closer. One of the guards saw him. "Hey," the guard said, chewing a protein bar. "You don't want to get near. That thing, ugly little creature, gives me the creeps. She's being sent off tomorrow anyway." "What did she do?" Thomas asked. The guard shrugged. "Nothing. Existing was the problem. That's enough sometimes." Thomas stood still, watching her. The girl blinked once, then twice. Her head tilted as if she were trying to understand him. Then she lifted one hand slowly and pressed it to the glass of the cage. Thomas, without thinking, placed his own hand on the glass too. The room felt quiet. The guard laughed. "You soft mechanic? It's just a thing. You'll forget her by next week." But Thomas didn't walk away. He looked at the girl again. She was small, thin, broken. But in her eyes, there was something more. Something watching, something learning. Went back to his room, but he couldn't sleep. The image of her face stayed in his mind. He tried to forget. He told himself it wasn't his business. He told himself he wasn't a hero. He just fixed broken pipes. He didn't save lives. But her eyes came back to him again and again. He asked questions the next day. He spoke with Mina, a nurse he knew from the medical wing. She had checked on the girl once, long ago. Mina whispered, "She's not sick. She's not violent. She's just different. The tribunal didn't care. She looked strange, so they made a choice. No trial. No rights. She's just a kid," Tomas said. Mina nodded. They don't see her that way. Tomas sat down in silence. His heart felt heavy. He had seen too many people treated like that back on Earth. People called trash, people forgotten. Now it was happening. Again, just in space. He looked out the window. The stars blinked like cold eyes. The girl had no one, no voice, no chance. Unless someone did something. Unless he did something. That night, Thomas returned to the cage. The hallway was quiet. The guard had gone for coffee. The security system was old. Thomas had worked on this part of the station before. He knew the codes. He knew the cameras. He opened the cage. The girl looked up at him, unsure. She didn't move. Tomas whispered, "Come with me." She didn't speak, but she stood. Her legs were weak, and she nearly fell. He caught her in his arms. She weighed almost nothing. He wrapped her in his jacket. Then he carried her through the shadows, past the sleeping halls, past the buzzing lights, to the trash bay. There was a cleaning pod set to be launched in the morning. Thomas opened the hatch. He had prepared it earlier. Inside were tools, a small oxygen tank, and a crate full of food packs. He placed her inside and climbed in after her. The hatch closed. The pod launched. As the stars rushed past them, Thomas looked. At the strange girl now curled up beside him. She looked up at him again, and for the first time she smiled. The escape pod flew quietly through the cold of space. It was small, meant only for waste cargo, but Thomas had made it ready. He had loaded it with food packs, water, warm blankets, and a broken navigation screen he had fixed himself. The ship had no weapons, no shields, and no way to call for help, but it had one thing that mattered more: hope. The girl sat beside Thomas, her body still wrapped in the jacket he gave her. Her skin looked dry and her fingers were thin like twigs, but her eyes never stopped moving. She looked at the stars, at the lights on the wall, and at Tomas. She was learning. Tomas gave her a soft piece of bread and watched her eat it slowly. She chewed like she had never tasted food before. Maybe she hadn't. He didn't know what kind of life she had before that cage. Maybe she had always been locked away. "You need a name," Thomas said. She tilted her head. He thought for a moment, then said, "Nara? Your name is Nara." The girl blinked. She looked at him for a long time, then gave a small nod. Thomas smiled. "All right, Nara. Let's get out of here." Their plan was simple: fly far from the tribunal station, reach a quiet spaceport, and hide. Thomas knew people. He had helped smugglers fix broken ships in the past. One of them owed him a favor. A man named Bren. They reached a hidden dock near a cold moon called Kepler. It had no cities, only old tunnels and dusty platforms. Not many came here anymore. That made it the perfect place to disappear. Bren met them near the landing zone. He was a short man with a thick beard and sharp eyes. When he saw the girl, his face changed. "You brought it with you," Bren said. "She has a name," Thomas replied. "Her name is Nara." Bren looked at the child again. She was hiding behind Thomas's leg. "You know they're hunting you. Now?" Bren said. "You took a high-level prisoner. That's not small trouble." She was not a prisoner. She was a child left to die. Bren shook his head. "You've got a big heart. That's how people die out here." Thomas stayed silent. He knew Bren would help. The man liked to act tough, but he had helped lost families before. He had smuggled orphans off battle stations. He was not as cold as he pretended. Bren sighed. "You can hide here for a while. I'll shut down the scanners. But if they find you, I'll deny everything." Thomas nodded. "That's fair." He and Nara moved into a small room under the docks. It was dark, but warm. There was clean water and a soft place to sleep. For the first time, Nara slept without metal bars around her. Mina arrived 2 days later. Tomas had sent her a secret message before the escape. She was his closest friend on the station, and she had helped run tests on Nara. When she stepped into the room and saw the girl, she froze. "She's really with you," Mina said. "She is," Thomas said. Mina walked closer. "You named her." "Nara." Mina knelt down. "Hello, Nara. I'm Mina." Nara did not speak, but she placed her hand on Mina's arm. Mina smiled. "She remembers me." They stayed hidden for 2 weeks. During that time, Nara began to change. Her body grew stronger. Her skin healed little by little. She moved with more balance and slept without shaking. She also started drawing. On the walls of the room, using broken pieces of metal and chalk from old crates, she began to draw strange shapes. Circles inside squares, long lines filled with tiny symbols. None of it made sense to Tomas or Mina, but Nara worked on it with great care. Mina studied the drawings. "These are not random. She's writing something." "She can't even talk yet," Tomas said. "Maybe not with her mouth. But her hands remember." One night, a small ship landed nearby. It was not one of Bren's friends. It was a silent vessel with no lights and no markings. Thomas saw it from the vent. 3 people stepped out. All wore black armor with gold bands. Tribunal enforcers. They had found them. Tomas rushed to wake Mina and Nara. "We need to leave. Now." Mina grabbed the medical bag. Tomas held Nara's hand. They moved through the service tunnels, staying low and quiet. The enforcers entered. The upper halls. They had scanners. They were slow, but they were getting close. Nara suddenly stopped near a broken machine. She touched a panel with her hand, and the lights on it flickered, then shut off. The whole hallway went dark. Mina whispered, "She disabled." "Their scanner feed." Tomas looked at Nara. "How did she know how to do that?" They kept moving. "Bren met them at the lower dock. I got you a ship," he said. "It's old but fast. You need to leave now." Tomas nodded. "Thank you." Bren handed him a chip. "New ID, fake codes. It'll help you pass outer gates." Thomas helped Mina and Nara into the ship. Before leaving, he turned to Bren. "Why help us?" Bren looked at Nara. "Because I've seen what the tribunal does, and because she's just a child." The ship took off, flying fast toward the edge of known space. Tomas sat beside Nara, watching her sleep. "She saved us," Mina said. Thomas nodded. "Yes, and I think she's just getting started." The old ship flew fast through the dark side of the galaxy. It had no name, just an old serial code printed on the side. It was small and dusty, with controls that sparked and screens that flickered. But it worked. That was enough for Tomas, Mina, and Nara. They flew through the dark sector, a forgotten part of space filled with wrecked ships, broken moons, and old battle scars. Few dared to travel there. It was quiet, cold, empty, but it was also safe for those who needed to hide. Tomas sat at the pilot's seat watching the radar. No signs of tribunal ships yet, but he knew they would come. They always came. Mina checked the fuel lines. She was tired, but her hands moved fast. She had learned a lot in the last 2 weeks, more than she ever wanted to. Now she was not just a nurse. She was a fugitive. Nara sat near the back, drawing again. She used a soft piece of metal and scratched lines into the floor. Circles, waves, dots. Strange patterns filled with meaning only she understood. Sometimes she looked up at the stars through the small window. Her big eyes blinked slowly as if she was searching for something far away. Tomas walked over and sat beside her. "You like drawing?" he said. Nara nodded. "What do the symbols mean?" She looked at him and placed a hand on his chest. Then she pointed to the stars. Tomas smiled. "You came from out there, didn't you?" Nara nodded again. Mina joined them. "She's not just smart. She remembers everything. The ship systems, the codes, even my medical tools. She learns fast." "She's more than she looks," Tomas said. Nara reached out and gently held both of their hands. She said nothing, but her eyes said enough. She was not just learning. She was watching them, trusting them. Suddenly, the ship alarm beeped. Tomas ran to the front and checked the screen. A new signal was coming from behind, a small ship, Fast. No ID code. That meant trouble. "It's a pirate," Tomas said. "They must have picked up our trail." Mina looked at the screen. "Do we fight?" Thomas shook his head. "This ship has no weapons. We have to hide." He turned the ship toward a debris field ahead. It was full of broken satellites and old war machines. Metal junk floated in every direction. It was risky, but it might be the only way to lose the pirate. The old ship shook as they entered the debris zone. Thomas dodged sharp pieces of metal and twisted beams. One hit the side of the ship, but the hull held together. The pirate followed them in. Thomas flew lower between two spinning chunks of wreckage. The radar went wild. He turned off the lights and slowed down. The pirate ship moved ahead, searching. "Hold still," Tomas whispered. Everyone stayed quiet. Even Nara sat without moving. The pirate ship circled once, then turned away. "They lost us," Mina said, breathing fast. Tomas leaned back. "For now." Later that night, they landed on a dead moon. No people, no buildings, just dust and stone. They needed time to repair the ship and rest. Tomas and Mina worked outside, checking the fuel pipes and patching the side. Nara walked slowly. Around the empty land, her feet leaving small prints behind her. She found something half buried in the ground. A metal panel, old and rusted. She touched it. The panel lit up for a second, then went dark. She tilted her head and placed both hands on it. Suddenly a signal blinked across her eyes. Symbols appeared in her mind. Words from a forgotten time. She spoke softly in a voice not fully her own. "Wake. Code detected. Language system active. Vault memory unlocking." Thomas saw the light and ran over. "Nara, what is that?" Nara looked up at him. Her voice was calm. "This is a message." "From who?" She pointed down. "From those who came before." Mina came running. "What's happening?" Nara stood and walked to a tall rock nearby. She placed her hands on it. Lines of glowing shapes appeared on the stone, like ancient writing brought back to life. Tomas stepped back. "What is this?" Nara looked at them both. "I remember more now. Not just names, not just faces. I remember worlds. I remember creation. I was not born like others. I was made, long ago, to keep something alive." Mina whispered, "What are you?" Nara looked up at the stars. "I am not sure yet, but I think I was made to help, to fix what was broken." Tomas walked forward and knelt beside her. "Whatever you are, you're still Nara. That's who you are to us." Nara looked at him and smiled. But high above the moon, another signal blinked to life. Someone had heard the old message. Someone was listening. Back on the tribunal station, a tall figure stood before a large screen. A voice reported, "Sir, we've detected activation of architect code in Sector 9. The figure turned. "Send a fleet. Capture the source. Destroy anyone who stands in the way." The tribunal had found her again, but this time, Nara would not run forever. The sky above the dead moon was still and black. Stars blinked far away like tiny eyes. In the middle of the rocky ground stood Nara, quiet and calm. Glowing shapes moved across the stone where her hands had touched. They moved in patterns like they were alive. Tomas and Mina stood beside her. Neither of them spoke. They watched as the symbols floated, then disappeared into the rock. The light faded. The message was over. "What was that?" Tomas asked softly. Nara turned toward him. "It was a door, not a real one. A door in the mind. I think something was locked inside me." Mina stepped closer. "You remembered more," Nara nodded. "Yes. I saw lights, a tower full of stars. I saw hands building something, then hiding it. They said I must sleep until the right time." Thomas looked at the empty sky. "They. Who are they?" "I don't know their names," Nara said. "But they were not like the people here. They were old. They lived before the worlds we know. They made many things. Then something went wrong. They sent parts of their knowledge into living beings. I am one of them. Mina frowned. You're carrying their memory, their code. Yes, but only a small part. I was not ready when I woke up. Something damaged me. That's why I looked broken. That's why I couldn't speak. Tomas placed his hand gently on her shoulder. You're not broken anymore. Nara smiled. That's because of you. Suddenly, the ship's alarm began to beep. A red light flashed above the door. Tomas ran inside and checked the screen. Mina followed him. Unmarked ship entering orbit, he said. Big one, not pirates this time. This is government-level tech. They're here. Mina looked at the radar. The tribunal. Tomas ran back outside. We have to go. But Nara didn't move. She was looking at the sky. They heard the message, she said. They followed it here. They will not let me go this time. Tomas grabbed her hand. We're not leaving you. You're coming with us. Nara nodded, but her face was calm, not scared, like she was thinking of something important. They rushed into the ship. Engines started. The ground shook as the tribunal ship dropped into the sky like a black shadow. It was huge, with wings that spread wide and lights that scanned the land. Tomas pulled the ship into the air. Hold tight! The old ship shook as it rose. The tribunal fired a warning shot. A beam of light flashed past them and hit the ground. Rocks exploded. We can't fight them, Mina said. This ship has no defense, Tomas gritted his teeth. Then we run faster. Nara walked to the control panel and placed her hand on it. The screen glowed. What are you doing? Tomas asked. Let me help, she said. Suddenly, the ship's engines made a new sound. The screen lit up with strange symbols. The ship turned faster, moved smoother. She changed the system. Mina whispered. It's like the ship is listening to her. Outside, the tribunal ship fired again. But this time, the old ship spun and dodged. It slid between rocks and clouds like a bird. Tomas stared in shock. How are you doing this? I know how machines talk, Nara said. I remember now. They taught me before I was born. The tribunal ship kept following. It was fast. Its weapons were stronger. But Nara guided the ship with quiet hands. She moved it through narrow paths and clouds thick with dust. She used the moon's gravity to push them forward. After 10 long minutes, the radar showed the tribunal ship falling behind. They can't match our path, Mina said. We're losing them, Tomas smiled. That's my girl, Nara turned. We're not safe yet. They will follow. They always follow. Tomas looked ahead. Then we need to find out who you really are, and why they're so afraid of you. They flew for 2 days without stopping, through dead zones, through silent space, until they reached an old spaceport floating near a cracked planet. The port was empty, broken. But the scanner showed one working dock. Tomas landed the ship. Mina checked Nara's pulse. She's fine, but tired. Using her mind like that must take energy. Tomas stepped outside. The air smelled like old rust. He looked at the signs written on the walls. Some were in languages he didn't understand. Nara walked beside him. Her eyes searched the walls. Then she pointed. There, she said. That symbol. That's where we go. They entered a dark hallway. At the end was a round door. It looked like it hadn't opened in years. Nara placed her hand on the center. The door opened. Inside was a small room with smooth walls and a round table. In the middle floated a blue cube. It pulsed with light. Nara stepped forward. This is another message. Tomas stayed close. Will it hurt you? No. It's meant for me. Or someone like me. She touched the cube. Light filled the room. Images appeared in the air. A tall figure stood before a screen. Around it were other beings with long arms and silver eyes. They spoke words Thomas could not understand. Nara watched and translated slowly. They say the galaxy will forget, that war will come again, that truth will be lost. So they built memory holders. To carry the past into the future, Mina whispered. You're one of them, Nara nodded. There may be more, others like me, sleeping, hidden. Thomas looked at the cube. Why are they afraid of you? Nara turned to him. Because I am not just memory, I am also choice. I can show people what was lost, I can wake others, and if I do, the tribunal loses power. They fear truth more than anything. Thomas stepped forward. Then we find the others. We show the truth. We don't run anymore, Nara smiled. Yes, it's time to stop hiding. But far away, in the tribunal ship that had lost them, a voice crackled through the dark. Activate Phase 2. Bring the Architect Hunter online. I want the girl found, alive or broken. The real chase was just beginning. The room with the glowing blue cube was now quiet. The message from the ancient beings had faded, but the light inside the cube still pulsed like a slow heartbeat. Nara stood in the center, her small hands still resting on the smooth surface of the table. Thomas and Mina watched her closely. Neither spoke. They could see something had changed in her. Not her body, but her presence. She stood taller, even though her height was still small. Her eyes looked older, deeper, like they had seen more than before. Thomas took a slow step forward. Are you all right? Nara turned to him and nodded. Yes. The message helped me remember more. I know now why they made me. I understand my purpose better. What is it? Mina asked. Nara walked toward them. I was made to carry memory. But not only memory. I was also made to choose. To protect or to release what is hidden. They trusted me to decide when the time was right. Thomas frowned. Decide what? If the galaxy is ready to remember what it has lost. Or if the truth will bring more war. Mina looked at the cube. And you think now is the time? Nara nodded. Yes. The tribunal wants silence. They erase anything that doesn't fit their version of order. But the old ones wanted freedom. They wanted all life to grow, not be controlled. Thomas sighed. Then we have work to do. They left the hidden room and returned to the ship. It was quiet outside, but everyone could feel pressure building. Something was coming. Nara sat at the front of the ship and stared at the stars again. She closed her eyes and placed her hand on the control screen. She's searching, Mina said quietly. For others like her, Thomas watched the screen change. The ship's systems lit up in soft blue light. Symbols began to scroll. Coordinates appeared. She found something, Thomas said. More signals. Are they like the one on the moon? Nara opened her eyes. Yes, there are 5 more places. Each one holds a memory. I think each one is linked to another child. Another code. Like me, Thomas looked at Mina. If we find them all, Mina nodded. We wake the full truth, Nara said. We may also wake danger. The tribunal will fight harder. They won't let us complete the circle easily, Thomas leaned forward. Then we stay ahead of them. What's the closest signal? Nara pointed. A planet called Drava, full of storms and deep oceans. There is something hidden far below its surface. Thomas set the course. The ship began its jump toward Drava, but far away, on a hidden tribunal base, another machine had started to move. Inside a cold lab with silver walls, a tall figure stood beside a sealed chamber. Within the chamber was a shape. Not human, not machine. Something in between. Its body was smooth and black. Its face was covered with a metal mask. Its arms ended in sharp silver points. A voice spoke behind the glass. Wake the Architect Hunter. The creature's eyes opened. Red lights burned through the mask. She has begun the path, the voice said. She will search for the others. Stop her. Erase the memory. Leave no trace. The hunter did not speak. It did not need to. It simply moved. Back on the ship, Thomas and Mina checked their supplies. They had enough fuel for 2 jumps, enough food for 1 week, but no weapons, no protection. They were carrying something powerful, but also very fragile. Nara walked over to Thomas and handed him a small object. It looked like a crystal with light inside it. "What is this?" he asked. "It is part of me?" Nara said. "It holds one of the old codes. If anything happens to me, protect this. It will still carry the truth." Thomas looked at her with concern. "Nothing will happen to you. We're staying together." Nara smiled. "I hope so. But truth always comes with risk." Drava appeared in the window. The planet was covered with blue storms and wide oceans. Lightning flashed across its surface. There were no cities, no stations, just water and sky. "This doesn't look friendly," Mina said. Nara said, "The signal is deep under the sea. We must go there." But the ship can't reach it, Tomas thought, for a moment. "I once fixed a diving pod for a smuggler. I saved the design in the ship logs. Maybe we can rebuild it here." Mina and Thomas got to work. They used parts from the storage room, old wires, rusted metal, broken drones. It took them 6 hours, but by the end, they had a working diving pod, just big enough for 2 people. "I'll go with her," Tomas said. "No," Nara said. "I must go alone. The door will only open for me. I can feel it. You must stay here and protect the ship." Mina stepped forward. "We'll wait for you, but if there's danger, come back." Nara nodded and climbed into the pod. The door closed. The pod dropped into the sea like a falling star. The water around Drava was thick and dark. Strange lights moved in the deep. The pod sank lower. Nara placed her hand on the control screen. The lights around her began to glow softly. At the bottom, she found a tower. It rose from the ocean floor like a needle made of stone. At the top was a round gate. She reached out and touched it. The tower opened. Inside was another cube. This one was green, glowing with slow pulses. Nara stepped forward and touched it. Memories rushed into her mind. Voices, music, names she had never heard before. One voice stood out. "You are not alone. If you found this, the others can still be saved. Protect them, and together, rebuild the light." Back at the ship, the radar beeped. Mina looked at the screen. "Something's coming. It's not from the planet. It's from the sky." Thomas ran to the window. A black shape dropped through the clouds. It had no wings, no lights, no sound. But Thomas could feel the fear growing in his chest. "What is that thing?" Mina whispered. "It's not a ship. It's something else." The architect hunter had arrived. The black shape dropped from the sky like a silent shadow. It was not a ship. It was alive, yet cold. The architect hunter had reached the planet. It had no face, only a metal mask with 2 burning red eyes. Its body was smooth and dark, shaped for speed and destruction. Its mind had only one purpose: find the code and erase it. Thomas stood in front of the ship, staring up at the sky. The radar was no longer working. The machine had jammed it. Mina pulled him back toward the ship's door. "We can't fight that. We have to leave now." Thomas looked down at the sea. "Nara is still down there. I can't leave her behind." Mina grabbed a scanner and pressed a button. A signal flashed on the screen. "She's coming back." "The diving pod is rising." Thomas ran back to the controls. "We'll hold until she returns, no matter what." The hunter landed on the sand without sound. It turned its head slowly toward the ship. Its red eyes flashed once. Then it began to walk forward, each step slow and steady. Inside the ocean, the diving pod was rising fast. Nara sat inside, holding the second memory cube close to her chest. Her heart beat quickly, but her face stayed calm. She could feel the hunter on the surface. It was old. It had been built long ago, not by the architects, but by those who feared them. It was designed to destroy beings like her. She whispered to the cube, "We are not afraid. Not anymore." The pod broke through the surface and flew up toward the ship. Tomas opened the hatch and pulled her inside. "Nara, are you all right?" She nodded and handed him the cube. "The second key. We found it," Mina shouted from the back. "We have to go now. It's almost here." Tomas jumped into the pilot's seat. Nara placed both hands on the control screen. The ship rose fast, spinning through the clouds. The hunter leapt after them. It had no wings, but it flew by using bursts of energy from its back. It caught up fast. It slammed into the side of the ship. Sparks flew. The ship shook hard. "It's trying to pull us down," Mina said. Nara closed her eyes. Her hands lit up with a soft blue light. The ship's systems responded at once. Energy moved through the metal like lightning. The ship spun sharply. The hunter was thrown off. It fell back toward the sea. Tomas pulled the ship into open space. Everyone inside was silent for a moment. Mina was the first to speak. "That thing will come back. You know that, right?" Nara nodded. "It will follow us until the last code is found. We must move fast." Thomas turned to her. "Where is the next signal?" Nara touched the cube. "A desert world. Old and dry. But there is life there. And a city that floats in the air. That's where the third code is hidden." The ship jumped into faster-than-light travel. They reached the desert world in 2 days. The planet was full of golden sand and red mountains. High above it floated a city built on giant air engines. It looked like a jewel in the sky. Thomas flew the ship near one of the docking towers. A woman in silver armor greeted them. "You're not from here," she said. Thomas showed a fake ID. "Just traders, looking for parts." The woman nodded. "Stay out of the lower district. Strange things have been happening. Power outages. Lost time. People seeing lights in the air." Nara looked at Thomas. "That's where the code is." Below the city, Mina stayed with the ship while Thomas and Nara went into the city. They moved through crowded streets, past vendors selling glowing fruit and robots that danced for coins. But the lower district was quiet. No music, no sound, just silence. Nara led him to a round building made of glass. Inside was a small garden with blue trees. At the center was a stone bench. She walked to the bench and sat down. "It's here," she said. "The code is sleeping beneath this place." Thomas looked around. "How do we wake it?" "We don't," Nara said. "The one who carries it will come. They are already near. I can feel them." A child stepped out from the trees. He looked no older than 10. His eyes glowed softly. He said nothing but walked to Nara and held out his hand. Their fingers touched. A green light flowed between them. Thomas watched as the boy smiled. "You found me. I was waiting." "I'm sorry it took so long," Nara said. "I remember now," the boy said. "I remember everything." Suddenly the sky turned dark. An alarm began to ring across the city. Mina's voice came through the communicator. "It's here, the hunter. It found us again." The boy turned to Nara. "Let me help you," Nara nodded. Together, their eyes glowed brighter. Lights ran across the floor of the garden. The plants lifted into the air. Tomas felt a wave of warmth move through him. The hunter burst through the wall. Its body glowed with red lines. It raised one hand sharp as a blade, but Nara and the boy stood side by side. They raised their arms. A wave of blue energy exploded from the ground. The hunter was pushed back, slammed through the wall, and thrown into the sky. It didn't fall. It simply vanished. Gone. For now. Nara turned to Thomas. He is one of us. His name is Leo. He will travel with us now. Thomas looked at the boy. Welcome aboard, Leo smiled. Let's go wake the next one. 3 memory holders were now together. The light was growing stronger. But the tribunal was not done, and the final battle was getting closer with every step. The small ship flew fast toward the next signal. Thomas, Mina, Nara, and Leo sat together in the cramped cabin. Each of them felt the weight of what was coming. The memory holders were no longer alone. The truth was waking up in the galaxy. Nara looked out the window at the stars. We are close to the last places. Soon, all will be together. Leo nodded. I feel it too. The power grows, Thomas leaned forward. But the tribunal will try to stop us. They will send everything they... Mina touched his arm. We need to be ready. We have to protect the children. Protect the memory. Nara's eyes were steady. We don't just protect, we will show the truth. The galaxy needs to know what was hidden for so long. The ship entered orbit around a green planet. It was covered with thick forests and wide rivers. It looked alive and full of light. Thomas smiled. This is it. The last signal. They landed near an old temple built with stone and vines. The air was warm and smelled like rain. Nara and Leo walked into the temple. The walls were carved with stories. The stories of an ancient war, of creators who made life, of secrets lost in time. At the center of the temple was a pedestal. On it lay a shining crystal. It glowed with soft white light. Nara reached out. Leo stood beside her. When their hands touched the crystal, a wave of energy passed through the room. The walls lit up with blue and green symbols. The ground trembled. Suddenly, the architect hunter appeared in the doorway. It had found them again. But this time, Nara and Leo did not run. They stood their ground. The hunter raised its arms, ready to attack. Nara and Leo joined hands. A circle of light formed around them. The crystal's power poured into the circle. The temple shone brighter and brighter. The hunter stepped forward, but the light was too strong. It could not enter the circle. Thomas and Mina watched from outside. Thomas held a small device. He pushed a button, sending a signal to all parts of the galaxy. Help is coming, he said. Voices answered back. Ships from different worlds jumped into the system. They came to protect the memory holders. Inside the temple, Nara and Leo felt the power grow. They knew the truth was alive. They were not just children. They were the future. The light reached out beyond the temple walls. It touched other worlds. It woke others who had hidden knowledge inside. The tribunal's power began to crack. The architect hunter retreated, its red eyes fading. Nara smiled at Leo. This is only the beginning. Leo nodded. Together we will rebuild what was lost. Thomas and Mina joined them inside the temple. We saved you, Thomas said softly. You saved yourself, Nara replied. And now we save the galaxy. The galaxy was changing. The memory holders were awake. The truth was free, and the future was bright.